Somewhere in life, there's a place for you, far away from forces you can't subdue. Somewhere in life, there'll be someone to know, there'll be a hand to hold. There'll be darkness too, storms of evil, moments that cloud your view. And yet in life you'll find that morning sun, you'll find a battle won.
There is a power not obscure or unreachable when you're teachable. The power grows.
A timeless power, it belongs to eternity. Yet right here in mortality, it makes you glow.
Dear Mom and Dad, only 2 weeks left before I complete my mission. Little did I know back when I was in high school that what a joy this experience was destined to be for me. But yet, in a way, I did know. It's difficult to live around people like you without tasting at least a little of that vision. I remember struggling with you through those years, trying to find my place. Why is it so confusing? And why don't we try harder during those experiences? But you know, I remember that senior year and how hard we worked. We were going to establish Zion, and Dad and Mom, in a way we did. I remember how much I enjoyed going to seminary each day. And now, using those same principles we learned in that class, I've come here to a foreign land, learned a difficult language, taught the gospel of Jesus Christ to these people, and had the authority to take them into the waters of baptism. What a miracle it is to see the power of God manifest in the lives of these people. And to think I've been an instrument through which God has seen fit to use that power. Only yesterday when we were with some people, they seemed very interested in what we were.
Dear Mother, I can remember so clearly how much I used to love to play with dolls. It was such an important part of my life. All day I would watch you, and then I would get my doll and play like I was you. I wonder if you know how important that learning experience was for me. Then as I grew older, other dimensions of family life began to come into focus for me. And always in the middle of those experiences was your example. Oh, I remember high school was particularly hard. Do you remember how I agonized over whether to date before I was 16? It seems such a silly thing now, but it wasn't then. Why was everything so difficult to see then and so easy now? Strange, isn't it? But those were wonderful years. I'm so glad I stayed in the general area of the straight and narrow. And now here I am with my first little boy. I'm so proud of his father, and what a comfort it is to know that he understands the covenants we made, that he lived worthy of them, and that he had a desire to make them. It's so wonderful to know that he has always been that way. Many times I've heard him tell how during high school it wasn't easy for him either. But he was determined. And now it has really paid off for both of us. Oh, how beautiful our little Scotty is. And what a joy to know that we have brought him into a home where the gospel is appreciated. Thank you, Mom. And will you thank all those you see who had a part in helping me to understand the gospel principle?
Dear Justin, do you remember me? I'm Rob, the old troublemaker from our high school days. I met Terrell the other day at Disneyland. He was telling me about you and your little family. 3 children, and the oldest is 4? Wow, you're still going full blast, aren't you? But the reason I'm writing is to tell you what has happened to me in the years since we graduated from high school. As you probably know, I left the state shortly after school let out. When I arrived at my new place and got a job, well, I immediately looked up the church and got active. I know a lot of people thought it was the members of the new ward that turned me around. And it's true that they helped me a lot. They were wonderful, especially the guys my age. I got into Institute full force, and that put me well on my way to being ready for my mission a year later. That's right. I went on a mission, and I had the most glorious experience you could imagine. And then when I got home, I met a terrific girl. And now we have 2 beautiful children. Want to hear something really far out? I'm president of our elders quorum, and I love it. Well, Justin, like I said, the members of my ward were fantastic. But that wasn't responsible for the change in my life. It only made it easier for me. You see, I watched you and Terrell and Ross and Jolene and Heather and Joan and the rest of the kids. I wanted to be a part of you so much, but a guy like me just didn't seem to fit. It wasn't your fault, Justin, because I know you would have welcomed me with open arms. It was because of me. I was afraid of myself. But because of you, when I moved away, I was ready. I wish I had made the change while I was still there. I know now that I could have done it, and it would have very likely been easier there than here. Anyway, I just wanted to write and say thanks. Thanks for being such a great...
Dear Brother Kessler, would you have guessed that the poor little paraplegic me would be getting married in the temple? I'm so excited I can hardly stand it. When I lost the use of my legs, I thought for a time that my life had ended. In a way, I suppose most people had no idea how much I worried about my future. But always there was my faith. I knew that God lived. I knew that He loved me. I knew that He and I had covenanted together, and that there was a power in that covenant. I knew that regardless of what others might think or say, that the day would come when I would stand before Him. And so I stopped asking Him to bless me with the power to walk on earth, and began pleading for the power to walk with Him in heaven. But now He has let me know I can also walk with Him on earth. I am still confined to my wheelchair. It's the last thing I see when I go to bed at night, and the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. It's just part of me in a way. But when that wheelchair and I became inseparably joined together, well, I was sure that all the super important things of mortality were out of my reach. But they weren't. Tomorrow I go to the temple, and it looks like our chances of having a family are as good as anyone else's. And even if we didn't have one in this life, if we live the way we should, It's a sure thing for the next life. Isn't the gospel wonderful? Our class was so helpful to me. If they didn't build Zion anyplace else, they sure built it in my heart. Thanks again. And thanks for letting me share my happiness with you about the time.
Somewhere in life, when your story's told,